Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Balkansis, the show that's going to help you navigate the massive challenges of life, motherhood, culture, identity, and belonging with more ease, acceptance, joy, and purpose. Thanks to each and every one of you that come back every time to listen, learn, heal, and feel inspired. If you do love the podcast, then do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. It really does help spread the word. Hello, beautiful humans. How we all going? Oh my God, it feels like ages that I have come on the mic and talked to you, even though it's only been not even, I think, a week. Oh God, I'm trying to remember. As you may have seen on my stories, I was at a beautiful, massive cousin's wedding in Sydney, and God, it was just so epic. I have so much to share, so much to share, so much to digress. I was just compelled to jump on the mic and share it all with you guys. You've all engaged. I had between 300 and 400 people viewing the stories, which is absolutely incredible and shows me how much people are starved of joy, how much bad shit is happening in the world. And just when people see something good and something lighthearted and something happy and something as joyous as a wedding, that really, yeah, people are just engaging, I think, because in their everyday lives, maybe something is happening and they just need that little injection of pure joy and entertainment and excitement and something good. And yeah, I just wanted to come on and say hello and update my lovely podcasting family and wish my beautiful mother a happy birthday. So today is Thursday, 4th of June, and my mother is turning 67. So she says, woohoo, finally she's a pensioner, pensioner, which is really funny. And so, yeah, I just want to wish my beautiful Mama Anna, Baba, our beautiful Baba, just an incredible birthday. And yeah, we will see her later on. We're going to visit with the children after school and cut a little bit of cake and have a coffee and just be together. And really, this podcast is about being together, okay? Together through bad, through good, through thick and thin. I think, like I said before, there is just so much happening and the world is spinning, and often we can just really lose perspective of what's truly important in our everyday lives. So yeah, this episode is about coming together. It's about sharing. It's about being in communion with one another. And as well, over the weekend, blending cultures. So yeah, the wedding that occurred was my cousin. So let me explain it all to you. So my grandfather and the groom's grandfather are brothers. Okay, but my grandfather has sadly passed on many years ago. Him and my grandma passed away 1 year between each other. So yeah, they haven't been with us for a really long time now, which makes me really sad at events like this. And those big moments and little moments, you realize how much you miss having these people around. And you also realize as a grandchild how much you missed out on. Obviously, I was privileged that he was at my wedding, and it was hard because my grandmother was actually dying and while I was getting married. So I got married on the Saturday and she passed away only a few days after. So we had a wedding and a funeral all in 1 week. And yeah, when I see events like this where everything goes smoothly, where people are celebrating and grandparents are there and just really important key figures that should be there, yeah, I just encouraged anyone who's planning a wedding or any events or anything, don't wait. Really don't wait. Andrew and I were together for 6 years before we got married, and we waited for different reasons because we moved out and we traveled and we did all these other things that we deemed as important at that time. But now looking back, I think, God, I wish we had done it a little bit different and done it while our grandparents were able and healthy. So I hope that, yeah, if you're listening and you have a special event coming up or you're planning something, whether it be your wedding or something else, that you really take it as an omen to, yeah, move it forward and don't wait until later to celebrate. So, yeah, the wedding was absolutely incredible. So the groom's mother is first cousins with my father, which makes me second cousins with the groom. And then it makes Vito the third cousin because I brought little Vito with me as well. But yeah, look, not to skip on mum's birthday because it's such an important day, but my mum has virtually sacrificed her whole entire existence for the well-being of us children and making us happy and being there for our kids as well, the grandkids. God, she's just been through so much, and I would love to bring her on the podcast. So you guys have to help me convince her to bring her on the podcast. She doesn't really think she has anything worth sharing. Who's going to listen to that crap? But I think she's completely wrong, and I hope that I can convince her to come on and share her oral history with us about going through a war with 3 children and becoming a mother for the 4th time. She was in a refugee home and she was pregnant with my brother. And yeah, she just has so much to share, so much life wisdom and so much joy as well. She's such a joyous person, and I really just want to celebrate her more and more the older we get and time is shrinking for all of our parents who are like in their late 60s heading into their 70s. Not to say they're not going to live for a long time, but yeah, precious moments like this just make you realize how lucky you are to have your parents beside you and to have their love. And for the kids as well, the grandkids, to have their love is really important to me. Sretan rođendan, mama. Volim te do neba. And I'll have to make sure I share this episode with her. But I've already made a little post, and yeah, can't wait to see her this afternoon. So I wanted to open up with that. That was the most important, my mum's birthday. And yeah, it's been a bit of a mixed bag since last week, since I spoke with you guys. So first of all, shout out to Martina, my last guest. Can you guys believe that I had a beautiful Macedonian woman who works for NASA? I'm so proud to say that. I feel like it's just such a vibe. And the fact that she came on my podcast, I think, is just a true testament to, I guess, my storytelling abilities, or how comfortable people feel to share with me and how comfortable they feel to come on and share their story with me. It's never lost upon me what a privilege that is, where people are really divulging and revealing heartbreaking things, good things, things that shape them into who they are now. And it's really that journey of who they were, who they are, and who they're becoming. And I'm just so grateful for Martina for saying yes. So grateful. There was a little bit of planning and the questions had to get approved and things like that. I'm proud of the work that I'm doing. I really am. And I think I'm not sure if I shared with you guys the article. Oh, I did. I think the last couple of episodes was the article that went viral, and I copped a lot of flack on there about the podcast name and whatever. I think you're just going to have haters everywhere no matter what you do. But haters are my motivators. So whatever, let bygones be bygones, and we move on from that. We don't dwell on that. But just shout out to Martina. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Push play, listen to the whole thing. You can pause it whenever you want. It is a little bit longer, but it's hard to condense these conversations. And then if I do 2 parts, it ends up virtually being the same thing. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed that episode. We ended up dedicating that episode to her beautiful sister who passed away at a young age from a disability that she was born with. And yeah, God, just forever grateful for people coming on and just sharing with their journeys with me. It makes me feel just so humbled and so grateful that people are tuning in and listening. Shout out to this lovely lady, Ružica, who's from Sweden. Shout out to you, Ružica. She sent me a beautiful email. I asked her, what do you want to hear next? She's been engaging with me on Spotify. You can actually comment on the episodes and you can engage with me on there. So yeah, shout out to Ružica for saying hello and yeah, sending me this beautiful email of recommendations. She was saying that maybe we should start a bit of a book club as well. So I will do a separate episode on that, on some of the beautiful people that I've had who have reached out to me on socials. I'll share all the lovely comments and reviews and all the engagement that I get on a daily, weekly basis about this podcast. And just when you think, what's the point? Why am I doing it? You get a really beautiful email from someone or a really nice comment and a bunch of reshares or a DM, and people are just like, I love this. Thank you so much for doing this, or this sort of, I learned about this or I learned about that. And yeah, just so grateful that people are taking the time out and engaging with me and saying hello. So thank you, Ružica, if you're listening in Sweden. Appreciate you, and I appreciate your effort. And we've all got a story to share. Like, that's what I want to come on and say. She shared a little bit of her story with me. Then I've had other beautiful sisters who have shared their stories with me, very similar to mine, very similar to yours. And it just goes to show that what I'm doing is important. And no matter how much we doubt what we are doing, we really just need to keep that torch on. We need to keep that flame alive and remind ourselves of why we're doing something, the bigger picture, what's our why, and we just lead with that. So yeah, thanks to Ružica. I'll share more on that as well, on what she would like to see happen here and other people's recommendations as well. And also a huge shout out to, since I'm doing shout outs now in this part of the segment, to the Burek guy who came on as a sponsor to sponsor Martina's episode. Thank you, Mark. Absolutely awesome human. Unfortunately, I didn't get to catch him while I was in Sydney because like my 3-4 days that I was there were just jam packed. And he's predominantly in the bakery or in their shop late nights and in the morning doing the food, and then he's off from there. So I'm looking forward to seeing him next time. I'll definitely return and go back, obviously. So shout out to the Burek guy. He sponsored one ad which I placed in that episode, in the last episode. So I'm really grateful for that, because as much as people have recommendations and things they want to hear and things they want to see from me and different episodes and different guests, it also needs to be sustainable for me, because this is completely bootstrapped. This is completely self-led, which means it's my time, it's my love, it's my effort, it's preparing the stories, it's organizing the guests, finding the guests, talking to the guests. Sometimes it can take years or months to have someone come on, and then scheduling time. So it's a lot of early nights, a lot of late starts and things like that, and trying to make that all work within having a young family as well can be a little bit complex at times, but nonetheless I show up and make it work. So thank you, Mark, for supporting me, for supporting this mission. And who doesn't love burek or pita or maznik or whatever you call it? Does it really matter at the end of the day anyway? Like, really, people fight about the dumbest crap. But anyway, let's not get into that. Today's all about, as you can see, my cup, positive energy. So thank you, Dragana, my beautiful friend from Wizard Art Photography, who gave this cup to me just a few days ago when I was in Sydney. Shout out to all of my friends who came out as well on Monday and met up with me. It was just, yeah, it's truly amazing. I've met people on my honeymoon 10 years ago. I've met people on Instagram. They've gone from being an Instagram friend to a real life friend. I've met people in community pages. Really, also just kudos to me for just making beautiful friends everywhere and having the courage to say yes and going outside my comfort zone and putting myself out there. And I hope that you can do the same, and then you have all sorts of amazing people. When your energy radiates, you have all sorts of people coming out and gravitating towards that, and then as well giving back to you. So I appreciate the sponsors. Thank you, Mark, the Burek guy in Sydney, in Liverpool. Absolutely amazing family-run business, and I look forward to doing more work with them. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice because I was quite literally singing all bloody weekend. You should have seen me on, oh God, what day was it? So we had a tea ceremony on the Friday. The wedding was on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday was the party the day after the wedding. So yeah, that was a little bit hectic. Yeah. So I pulled up. I'm not used to this tempo, guys. I feel like I'm boring sometimes because I like to just sit in the sun, lay in the sun, be with my family, do very simple things. And then I had a 4-day party bender essentially. And my voice was absolutely just cracking. I was singing my heart out. My son was like, "Mom, your voice doesn't sound good. Stop singing." But I sang anyway. So, yeah. So thank you, Mark, for sponsoring that episode. And this is obviously just a reminder to anybody who has a project, who has a business, anybody and everybody who's doing something, you're more than welcome to reach out. We can do one ad together. We can do multiple ads together, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Or even just one episode. So if you want to collaborate and initiate contact with me, you're more than welcome to. Or if you know somebody who might want to get involved, they don't have to be in my state or in my country even. It can even just be people from afar, because obviously there's people listening in from absolutely everywhere. So yeah, we can do things virtually. And I'm reaching women from absolutely everywhere. Like I said, excuse me, from Greece, from the Middle East, Sweden, like that lady Ružica I was just talking about is from Sweden, and absolutely everywhere. I'm just gobsmacked at the downloads that I get from women who are quite literally all over the world. So the diaspora is really strong, and I encourage you to reach out if you want to collaborate and work together, and let me help you and you help me to keep this sustainable, to keep this going, and it's a win-win for everybody. So yeah, thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that. And yeah, so what's another recap? So what happened since last week when I talked to you guys last? I had an episode that I did in May by myself. Then I had Martina. Then I'm doing one now on my own. But yeah, I attended before I went to Sydney 2 events, which is like, it's been really quite hectic actually at the moment. I attended Bosanski Vitez, which was Bosnian movie production by two Bosnian guys who are absolutely incredible and amazing. And yeah, I got invited to that by the young Bosnian networking professionals on LinkedIn. And I'm so glad that I went. I'm really glad that I went. They saw that it's in my wheelhouse and they're like, "Did you want to come?" So obviously I invited naturally other friends to come. So then there were six of us all together who came, some from Brisbane, some from the Gold Coast. And I ended up meeting new people as well while I was there. And it's a movie about the prehistoric times of Bosnia, or how Bosnia and Herzegovina came to be. And yeah, just so much history, but in a very non-biased way. So they presented this information and this knowledge and this history, and it was very factual based. It was very, yeah, like it was narrating around this guy who came from America and was moving back home, and he was the main actor and the main star. And he talked about, where do I belong? Who am I? And that really took him back on that journey. It was through his eyes. It was absolutely amazing. Prehistoric, medieval times, through the whole history of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And obviously they could only go as far as back as the 90 minutes would allow, but obviously there's a lot more there, a lot more information to beyond those times. But they wanted to keep it really non-political. They didn't want to take sides, so they kept it really simple in terms of keeping it fact-based, which I really liked and really enjoyed. And yeah, I'm really glad that I went to that, and I encourage you in whatever city you're in around Australia and beyond to go watch Bosanski Vitez. I think they're going to be doing premieres all around Australia. So they've done, I think, one round. Now they're going to be doing more. So wherever there's most demand, that's where it's going to be. I was expecting more people to be there, but it was a weekday event. It was on a Thursday night, and it was in Kangaroo Point near the city in Brisbane. So yeah, it took me ages to get there, almost hour and a half, I think 2 hours just to get to Brisbane in peak hour traffic. But yeah, I'm glad that I made it, and I would highly recommend the movie to anybody. So type in Bosanski Vitez, which means Bosnian night, the translation. And yeah, and the young Bosnian networking professionals and the Bosnian Chamber of Commerce, like they were all in cahoots with that in organization of making that happen. So I do hope that they bring it back to Brisbane or even the Gold Coast. Honestly, I know there's maybe not that many of our people here on the Gold Coast, but yeah, now that I know what the movie is about and the initiative is about, I will encourage more people to go and watch it, and I highly recommend that you do as well. So yeah, we need more representation of our culture and our people. We need more representation of it out there in the mainstream world. I think that's really, truly important, so that when people do meet us or meet people from our ends of the world, they know who we are. Like when people say they're Italian, or when people, they're so in the mainstream culture, yet we haven't managed to really break through in terms of song and dance and movie and theatre. But I do feel a shift is happening. I do feel a change is coming with that. So yeah, I encourage you to get on board with that and support the directors and support. The music was just absolutely stunning. The music, the cinematography was absolutely wild. Like Larissa, it was the singer. I've got to double check her last name. I don't want to get it wrong, but she's actually from Zenica. And the music, like the sound, just amplified the whole movie, and the cinematography around Bosnia Herzegovina. And yeah, they touched on both Bosnia and Herzegovina and Croatia and all other parts as well of the Balkans. And yeah, that's, I think, a whole episode in itself, really. But I did share a reel about my experience there. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to maybe doing more work in the future with them in regards to their projects. And yeah, keep connected. So if you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. You can reach out to them and see where they're going to be showing it. Otherwise, I think once it's been aired all around, like in cinemas, like not in cinemas, but maybe multicultural centers and things like that, then it's probably going to go online. So I encourage you to go onto Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or wherever and type in Bosanski Vitez. So yeah, after that event, that was on the Thursday, I ended up going to see my cousin Vlad. So shout out to my cousin Vlad, absolute legend. He's a Macedonian Aussie comedian. It was great. I took my little brother, not little, but my younger brother and my brother-in-law. They both never been to a comedy festival. So yeah, it was the comedy festival in Brisbane. I also I met a lovely friend, Sylvia, who I met for the first time at the Bosanski Vitez event. I made friends with her on Instagram. Then I met her in real life on the Thursday and the Saturday. I invited her to come on the Saturday with us. And it was just the best time. Honestly, we had so much laughter, just so much fun. Like we had a couple of drinks. I actually had never drank 2 or 3 drinks ever. in a row in such a long time because I'm not a huge drinker anyway, but I can have fun without alcohol. But it was just so much fun to be in the back seat with my brother and have my brother-in-law with us. And yeah, the kids, Bubba had the kids and they had a really late night, even though they were, I said to her, you have a cutoff, you have to put them to bed. My mum ended up putting them to bed. They were just too excited. Yeah, my cousin Vlad was absolutely fantastic. He also has a podcast called This That Podcast, and I encourage you to listen to that. He's got lots of wisdom and golden nuggets, but with a really funny twist to it where it's a bit of life, a bit of comedy, a bit of everything. So super stoked to have met him and seen him, and we've watched him every single year pretty much. And I want to encourage him, maybe to come to the Gold Coast next, and I'll maybe help him book that out, because obviously there isn't as many Balkan people in Brisbane and Gold Coast compared to Melbourne and Sydney. You just can't compare it. The sheer population of those cities is larger in itself, and then you trickle that down to our people, obviously there's going to be less people in general with our background. So we try our hardest to show up and be in the Gold Coast and Brisbane crowd, but I think next time we can definitely do better at all these events. And I think online is just going to be the saving grace, because we all spend time on our phones, and if we don't see it on our phone, then virtually no one's ever going to tell us. But I do encourage you to look for events around your area or even within your city or closer to your city, whether it be comedians from our parts of the world or whether it be movies. I encourage you to have a look around as well or ask some questions, but I'll try and be the hub or maybe the source of information to encourage you to connect more with your heritage and your culture and your roots. So yeah, I did do a recording with my sretan, which is my great auntie. And just 1 minute, I feel a sneeze coming on. Oh my God, how annoying. It's like it wants to come, but it's not. That's even worse. So my beautiful sretan Slavica, she is my dad's auntie. So she's my great aunt. And God, this woman's turning 80 in July. And if you saw her and you were within her presence and you felt her energy, you just want to be her best friend. You want to be her granddaughter. You want to be her niece. You just want to be near her. She has so much to share and so many amazing stories to tell. She was telling me when we were recording, the first part recorded, which I did, and then it was in the car, and then we had to get out of the car because my cousin was taking her car, and we took it inside and went to the bedroom. But I lost reception there in that bedroom, and it stuffed up the sound because we have portable microphones, so I had to do Bluetooth and stuff anyway. So that whole part did not record. For 45 minutes, I was absolutely devastated. I'm going to have to ring her back and re-record it. But yeah, she is just an incredible woman who has so much to share. And like, she's turning 80 years old in July, and she was telling me that they used to make back in the day, like she was born, hang on, what was she saying, 1940, can't remember. But they used to make dolls with dirt. So they used to use dirt as a form, like, because there's nothing else, it'd make dolls and other things. And then she said the next day it would all be like falling apart, and then they have to make it again. And she was just telling me about her simple and humble upbringing and raised by a single mum. Essentially, her dad died when she was young. There was like 9 of them all up, and just absolutely wowed by her life story. So talk to your elders, ask your elders questions, whether it be a great aunt or any older person living that's within your family. I encourage you to ask them questions. I encourage you to share their story, to write it down, to get oral, like to get voice notes, to do a video even, whether it be recipes, whether it be, just anything that's interesting to you that you think is worth capturing and sharing, and have it for your children or just for yourself even, or put it away in a Dropbox file or put it on a hard drive even, because these stories are so valuable, and you never know in the future how that's going to impact us all, the future generations. We're all scattered all over the world, and that impacts what we think about ourselves. And often we think, where do we belong? Who are we? We have all these big life questions. And when you have someone's oral history telling you where you're from and telling you your roots and your family and certain traditions and why they did certain things, it helps you feel connected. It gives you that point of connection, a point of coming home to yourself or coming home to your roots or to your traditions or whatever it might be. So yeah, I encourage you to take what you want and leave what doesn't serve you or doesn't serve your family, or things, or maybe beliefs and conditionings that you don't want to take forward. But the good bits, the really good bits, you got to really capture those, because they're not going to be around forever. So she was supposed to be my next podcast guest. And yeah, one part of the conversation is recorded and the other part the sound is completely gone. And I just feel, oh my God, I should have bloody double checked. I was beating myself up about it, but I can ring her and do it virtually again. So it's not a problem. I'm going to do that. And yeah, I just want to have stories on here from like it can be people from NASA and it can also be my great aunt. And that's really what I want. I want to capture the whole essence, the whole spectrum of what it means to be Balkan, whatever that means for you, okay? No matter where you're from, you might not categorize yourself as such, or you might not even think your country where you're from is part of that abbreviation. But yeah, just what it means to you to be who you are. That's essentially what this podcast is about and so much more. So yeah, I can't wait to get my Stina on and I'll share that with you guys. The wedding, oh my God, guys, the wedding. It was Timorese, so the bride's family is from East Timor and my cousin's obviously Croatian. And wow, it was just absolutely incredible. This wedding was absolutely incredible. So I had beautiful Rafa, who's my number one fan. Rafa has been in our communities here on the Gold Coast and Brisbane for such a long time. And yeah, he's not from the Balkans. He's got Indonesian and he's got mixed family as well. So shout out to you, Rafa. I love you. Thanks for always engaging and supporting us. I'm so glad we reconnected after all these years. I saw Rafa at the Croatian soccer tournament last year and I hadn't seen him in such a long time. And yeah, he was really interested in this Chinese Croatian mix of weddings and how they made that work. And I think what was really beautiful to see was how much love and respect already existed between the couple. So how much love and respect and admiration and joy was between these two young people that have been together for 8 years. They've been together since high school and now they're finally getting married. So I think they already built a really solid foundation over an 8-year period. So it wasn't like his parents or her parents were just coming into the family or they were just meeting. I think it would have been entirely different because there would have been maybe some hesitation in some cultural differences. But because they've been together for such a long time, they've got that history and they've had that time to develop that stock, that source, which is what everything good is built on thereafter. So she's been in his family for 8 years. He's been in her family for 8 years. So they know what their parents like and don't like, or what their families, like what's important to their families and what's not, and how would the wedding look. And then they were engaged and things like that. So I do really think time is important in this aspect. Maybe there's some instances where marriages mix and it's very instant and it's a quick engagement, quick wedding and whatnot. That's fine as well. But I think in this case, it really helped cement that level of understanding. So then obviously my cousins who are marrying off their son, they got to read and learn a lot about East Timorese culture and language and traditions. And then same for her family. They got to obviously see previous events and they got to attend his brother's wedding probably 3 years ago and really see then what the wedding is about. And they probably got to see what type of music and what we do and how we do Kolo and how we do all sorts of things. So yeah, I do think in this instance, it's really good when there's a healthy exposure to each other's traditions and cultures and things like that. Because Rafa asked me, how did they make it work? How did they blend such two different worlds? But it didn't feel like two different worlds. It actually just felt like one world, which was love, right? The common denominator was love. And when you have a really genuine, authentic, honest love, it will trickle down to everything else. And yeah, we did the tea. I did my first tea ceremony on the Friday. Vito and I got to give a red envelope. Lucky I already had a red envelope in my wallet. I think I got it from the corner store ages ago. And we put some money in there for luck. She got gifted jewelry, which was awesome. They got gifted gold and to watch them bow to their elders and with respect. I couldn't quite understand what they were saying, but I got the gist of it. The house was fully dressed up in red. Everything was red. Everything was gold. The amount of food that was there. Her mum said, oh, just go have some finger food over there. I thought, finger food? What the hell? And then I'm thinking it's not going to be finger food. There's going to be more food than that. And there was. They ended up turning their whole living room into essentially a dining space where there was a whole table buffet, and the food was so lovely. It reminded me very much of Filipino food in terms of flavor. It wasn't too spicy. It was a little bit more on the sweet side, which I really loved, but the spices were really stunning, really lovely. And Vito loved the chicken. He was obsessed. So yeah, we had a really nice meal there. We had a really nice lunch, and then yeah, we were there for a few hours, and then we left around 2:00. So that was a really positive and amazing experience for us. And Vito got to experience his first tea ceremony, and he was a little bit bored sitting down. Oh, Mom, when are we going to get to go? But overall, he really loved it. And I'm so glad that I brought him with me and he got to be a part of that. So, yeah, watching that tea ceremony and unfold and seeing my great auntie, who's almost 80, sit down on the couch and they bowed down to her 3 times and they were on their knees as well on little pillows. And they gave her the tea, the offering of the tea, and she grabbed it and drank it. And then seeing my cousins as well, like the parents of the groom do it and just the grandparents, it was so beautiful to be a part of and to watch all that unfold. It felt really special and actually very emotional too. Yeah, it was felt like a really important time and day and something really unique and wonderful to be a part of. So I hope that I can attend more tea ceremonies and learn more about that as well. So we had that, and then the wedding was on the Saturday and the party was on the Sunday, like I mentioned before. And on Monday, I met up with my friends. So it was jam-packed weekend. The wedding itself was just absolutely incredible. I have no words. I shared everything in my stories on both of my pages. And they had techno music, they had some R&B music, they had a bunch of Croatian music, they had a few kolos. Then they had as well, because with East Timor, I found out that they also had Portuguese influence. So then they had a bit of Spanish music there as well. We did a couple of dances which were Portuguese, which was so amazing. So we did those, a bit of two-stepping with the partner, and that was really cool. There was an older man I was dancing with. I think he was in his 80s for sure as well. I don't know, but I've shared him to my story. So if you haven't seen it, jump on my Instagram. I'm going to have to dedicate a whole reel to him. He was just dancing his little bum off. He was just moving and grooving. And we had these foam light things that you turn on with LED lights, and that was just pumping and going off. That was super cool. And yeah, I grabbed him and he spun me around and we were just dancing. I was also talking to her family and explaining why my cousin's crying and what type of music, what the words meant, right? In a lot of those songs, like Maika Ženi Sina, the mother's marrying off the son, there's that song. And yeah, there's just a lot of songs that are very important and very monumental for the family or the groom's side of the family. And they really appreciated that information, and then they found out what it actually means. And they were up on their feet the whole night. They were dancing, they were boogieing, they were grooving. Yeah, they were like really into it. And then the bride, they had traditional Chinese dancers. So it was like a Chinese traditional dance company who came, and they had drums and they had amazing instruments that they came out with. And then there was 2 people in each dragon who were dancing and performing, and they were jumping on top of each other, and it was incredible to see, incredible to witness and watch. And yeah, my son loved it, and then the dragon ran up to us on our table and we said hello, and yeah, it was crazy to see. It was 2 people in there at the head and the tail. That was really amazing. So it was great and I loved seeing all of my Croatian family. I loved watching all of their reactions and all of their faces on the other side of the hall, just watching them soak it all in, and they were clapping, they were having fun. It was amazing and wonderful to see how receptive they were of this foreign culture. And then it was wonderful to see her family and how wonderful it was for them embracing our culture, which is so different to theirs. But they did say that being in East Timor, they had so many influences over the years, with the Spanish influence, with the Chinese, with so many different influences, that they're used to being with Europeans. They said that they're used to being with Europeans, their music and the food. And so to them, I guess we're Europeans in that degree, that it wasn't so uncommon for them. So I think they've probably been living longer years with Europeans than what our culture has with Asians. But because in Sydney, there's such a large dominant Asian community of all from different places. And also us living here in Queensland too, there's a big Asian community here too. So yeah, having those exposures, like being in Australia, that's what's wonderful about living in Australia, maybe in America and Canada, is that you are exposed to all these different cultures. You are exposed to all these different backgrounds. So then I guess when people do marry and blend together, it's not actually that uncommon versus if you lived in Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Albania, Kosovo, wherever. And if you grew up there and then someone brings an Asian bride, maybe that would be a little bit uncommon, perhaps, for someone. But I think living in the diaspora and living outside of the lands in which we were all born in, it's not that uncommon that people are mixing. And all of my cousins, all of my younger cousins who have gotten married and who have partners, they all have partners who are not Croatian. So that's really cool to see and watch as well. Yeah, that they're picking people outside of their culture. They're picking girls and boys who are not within their culture, which I really love that because I think it brings such a unique blend to their future children. And it just goes to show you can celebrate your own and you can still respect others. And yeah, so all the best to them, to Daniel and Letitia. Thank you for having Vito and I. There was actually no kids allowed at the wedding, but Vito ended up coming, which was so wonderful that they accommodated us. And yeah, he was sitting on the table with the teenagers and then he's, Mum, I want to sit next to you. So they gave him a chair. And yeah, the reception was just absolutely stunning. I think like Novella on the Park or something like that. And yeah, the church was beautiful. I'm going to actually do a reading out of their book to end this episode on, a reading from the Corinthians. So I do hope that that resonates with you and touches your heart in some sort of way today. And yeah, just watching her family do readings, watching my family do readings, and watching the dances and then doing Kolo and watching her family jump in and all of us talking to one another. Then on the Sunday as well, her family came. There was 3-4 tables of them, which was just wonderful to see too, that they felt that was important to come and they showed their respect and they were dancing as well there and they ate the food. And yeah, everybody was really rough the next day, because everyone had too much rakia. They all loved the rakia. So they all drank the rakia and they said it goes down so easy. The rakia goes down so smoothly. But then afterwards it really burns. And I'm like, yep, that's rakia for you. Definitely sneaks up on you. Obviously it depends what type you're drinking. But yeah, that was wonderful to see that they were so receptive of that, and everybody drank so much rakia. I didn't really need any drinks, but I had one shot on Saturday. That was a Jaeger shot, which was really cool because I don't do that often. So yeah, wonderful to hang out with the cousins and then their wives, and they're all having children now. So I love that I get to one day be that aunt and that cousin who attended all of these events. One day I'll be 80, 90 years old and people will be coming to me for information or stories, and I'll get to be the one narrating that and sharing all these experiences. And I'll have photos and I'll have videos. And yeah, I really want to be that bridge and that connection to the past and to the future. So yeah, if you have a family member who's getting married and you're not sure, should I go, or it's expensive, or it's interstate, or it's in a different country, just make the move and go, and you won't regret it. You really won't. When you're together in a room full of love, full of joy, it's only going to multiply. So yeah, there was absolutely no division, only just a multitude of love and hope and God, just joy. That's all I can think of, guys. Just joy. I had so much more to say on that, but I don't know what more I can say other than, yeah, make an effort, be with your family, go to the birthday, go to the event, go to the wedding. I think we can all come up with so many excuses of why we shouldn't go to things. I don't have enough money, or I can't leave the kids, or I can't this, I can't that. I left my little one behind, so little baby girl, I left her with daddy. And it was just a lot for all 4 of us to go logistically. And he just said to me, honey, you go on your own, go be with your family. And then my son said, Mom, I want to come with you. So I'm so glad that I brought him. The bedtimes were so late. It completely threw us out of our routine. And he was going to bed every night, 11 p.m., 12 o'clock, 1 a.m. Like I said, it's all shared on I saved a highlight, I think, on my Balkansis podcast page about the whole 3-day event, and just so glad I did it, and glad I did it for my son as well, because he met his third cousin who held his hand and she said, do you want to be my friend? Do you want to be my best friend? And he said, I'm your cousin already. I'm more than a friend. That was beautiful to see, beautiful to witness and be a part of, that I'm in charge of keeping that connection alive for him, and then he'll be able to take that torch forward and maybe do the same for his kids, and then that little girl will do the same for her kids. And that is how we stay connected, and that's how we stay true to who we are. And I think when there's that disconnect in identity and in that disconnection, there's so much estrangement and there's so much disconnection and straying from who we are and where we're from, that it gets lost, it gets dissolved. And then I think that is a big purpose of what causes illness and what causes mental health issues and anxiety and things like that. And it's that massive, major disconnect from who we are as people. So I think identity in that sense is so important. And as a parent, taking on the responsibility to keep this going to, yeah, make sure that we raise the next generation and they know who they are, they know where they're from. And I think there's really tasteful and beautiful ways you can do that. And a wedding definitely helps that, or birthdays or any events. And also, you don't need a special occasion. You don't need a special event to connect with your family. You can do it anyhow, anyway. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a special event. You can just have absolutely no reason. No reason is good enough reason as well. So I hope that, yeah, this podcast maybe will remind you to make that phone call, send that message, reach out to that cousin, reach out to that aunt or that uncle or whoever that lifeline is in the family who keeps everybody together and connected. So yeah, thank you to Danielle and Letitia. There's honestly so much I could say about this wedding. And I'm sorry, Rafa, if I didn't answer the question well, because you had asked how did they blend the two cultures together. And I would just say very seamlessly, because at the end of the day, when you have respect with one another and you have respect within your relationship, then naturally that will trickle down then to the parents and to the siblings, and it will trickle down to everybody. So when you've got a healthy home, which my cousin has with her sons and her daughter, first you have that healthy home and a healthy relationship. So then obviously they're going to love their son and support their son no matter what, who he chooses. And then she has that as well from her family. And when they have a happy and healthy home, and then you've got two happy, healthy people coming together who absolutely love each other, then the rest is really simple, right? Then the rest is just about showcasing the pluses within the culture, whether it be through singing or dancing or anything like that. So yeah, the food, the alcohol, the people, the vibe, the atmosphere was absolutely amazing. There was a lady who commented on the post, and yeah, she's Serbian and she's married to a Sri Lankan guy. So if she's listening to this, I want to say hello. I'm not sure where she lives. I still have to check out her account, but she said, thank you so much for sharing this. And your caption is just bang on about the two cultures colliding. And really at the end of it, like Asian culture, Latino culture, Balkan cultures, like all of those cultures are very heavy on family, on singing, on love, on dancing, on laughter, on food. So it's actually not that different. The only thing that's different is the language or maybe even the religion. But outside of that, everything else is the same in terms of how they love each other, how they show up, maybe some more affectionate than others. But really, the big emphasis is on family and keeping families together. So yeah, there isn't much to share on that. But yeah, Rafa, you and I will have many more chats, I'm sure, about the wedding. You were so excited to see that I attended that fusion of a wedding, and I think you would have really loved it. So if there's any more weddings coming up and you guys want a content creator, you want me to come with the microphone and get some stories, please, you can hire me from anywhere. So especially if you're in America or Canada or other places, I'd love to come on board and I'd love to create some content. I just love weddings so much. I was in the wedding industry for a good 10 to 15 years. I worked in a studio and I was a photographer and I had my own business for a really long time, and I was shooting 50 weddings minimum a year. So yeah, I was part of weddings in a really large way for a really long time. And now I'm able to share those gifts and share those talents in a different way through podcasts. Now I'm telling stories instead of a camera. I'm telling them through my microphone. But yeah, my phone was with me the whole time, and I just did so many photos and videos, and I was also really truly present. So yeah, I'm pleased that I got to attend that wedding. Thank you to all of my family and everybody who was involved in making that happen. And yeah, just all the effort they got put into that. There was literally people from all over the place, from America, from Spain, from Germany, every single state within Australia. So yeah, hats off to the couple for bringing that all together, and to the parents and everybody who was involved in bringing that all to life. Yeah, that was just absolutely. While I actually was going to Sydney last week, I got a phone call from a family friend within the community whose wife was sadly passing away, and they wanted me to take some pictures of the family with her in her last moments. So yeah, I'm privileged that people think of me in these moments, even though I don't openly advertise that I do photography anymore. I still have people reaching out to me from many years ago who know that I still have a camera and take photos here and there. And I'm so glad that people trust me in these spaces, in these really dark and difficult moments, and good moments and in bad moments as well. And I'm sad to say that, yeah, she did pass away. Rest in peace to her. I don't want to share any names or anything out of respect to the family, but I was sad to hear that when I came back, she had passed away. And yeah, we never got to take those pictures. But I hope that you just, whoever's listening, wherever you're listening from, that you take this as another omen to take lots of family photos, please, with your kids, with your husband, with your other half, with your family. Make it a point. Make it a point to exist in the photos. As mothers and as women, I think we don't to be in too many photos if we're not dressed up or we don't look pretty or maybe we don't feel good about ourselves, so then we hide and we're not in the photos. And I'm trying to make more of a conscious effort. Like last year, I wasn't feeling 100% myself, and it was in December and I felt just really bloated, not very nice, but I booked family photos anyway, and I just did a quick shoot. It was like 15-20 minutes. That was it, with the kids at the beach and hubby. So I have those photos. I don't particularly like the way I look in them, to be honest, but it's not about that. It's about the children having me be in these pictures, me existing in these photos, and me making it a point as well to just get over my own bullshit, get over my own conditioning of how I should look and how I should feel and whatever, and just getting over that shit and actually being in the picture. So if you're someone who hides and doesn't want to be in photos, I encourage you to, because you don't know. You don't know when our last moments are going to come. You don't know when we're going to have the last anything with anyone that we love. So the first thing you're going to want to do is download that picture. The first thing you're going to do is look for that photo of you and that person who's passed on, or they're going to look for that photo of you. So I do hope that you can, if you take away anything from this episode, is you take away living in the moment, you take away putting in the effort, putting in the work, and actually going out of your way to be with your family and going out of your way to attend events, whether it's expensive or far or whatever, putting in the effort, and also making sure that you exist in pictures, making sure that you exist in photos, because you just never gonna know, you just don't know if that's the last photo that you're ever going to take of you and that person. So yeah, privileged that people think of me in these moments, and also very sad that I didn't get to do that for them. And yeah, I wish them just so much strength and so much healing that's going to be required in getting through this period. Yeah, and on that topic of, I guess, sicknesses and illnesses, little Tessa passed away as well. I think you guys saw me sharing my stories across both pages. It was a lovely young girl, only about 6 years old, who passed away from cancer. She was on the same, like getting treated on the same ward as my nephew for leukemia. He's being treated. I don't want to divulge too much. This is all very sensitive topics as well, especially with children. I can't speak on behalf of anyone, but she lost her battle at such a young age. And yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about her all weekend. And when I saw the bride walking down the aisle, I just kept thinking of this little girl who's never going to get that chance, and her parents are never going to get to see her walk down the aisle. And that really, it really fell on me really hard, and on my family, because that could be anyone. It could be anyone's daughter. This could be any of us in these situations. You just never know what, the universal God has in store for you. And yeah, there's not much I can say on that, because otherwise I'm going to actually really start crying. I was really upset about it, and I was wondering, how am I going to keep celebrating? How am I going to keep smiling and singing and having fun when I know there's literally people dying? There's people dying within my community. There's people dying. There's children dying in the cancer world, on those wards, in hospitals, right next door to where you might be living. There's children dying and suffering and in poverty. How do I keep celebrating, and how do I keep smiling when I know all this bad shit is happening? And there's so many injustices being carried out, especially on our children. And I don't really have an answer for you other than that I just made a decision last year at some stage after my nephew's diagnosis that I have to be the light carrier. I have to be the torch carrier, the bearer. I have to be the beacon of light for everybody, because if I crumble and I fall and I go into a deep depression, then I can't help anybody. If I can't help myself, then I can't help anybody. And I have people relying on me. I have my kids relying on me. And if I can't get up and show them, that mummy is fighting, that mummy is trying, that mummy is putting in effort, then what sort of example am I setting? And then how can I expect them to be anything when they grow up? I'm showing them how to handle these challenges, how to carry crosses that you've been given that you never wanted to take. And our nieces and our nephews and our kids are watching, and it's a mammoth responsibility. And sometimes I even hate that's a parent's responsibility, because sometimes it feels really heavy, because we're doing more than just feeding our kids and keeping them alive and keeping them well and healthy. We're doing so much more than that. We are the ones who are imprinting on them and conditioning them to be either this or that. So I guess in short, I guess if you're going through some challenging moments or you're going through some really challenging times in this given moment, I just hope that you can see yourself in your family as the light bearer, the person who carries the torch. I just keep envisioning those people who carry the torch at the Olympics and how that torch keeps getting passed on until they light that flame. And you need to just keep that torch on until you can pass it on to the next generation. Just look after yourself. Do little things that bring you joy. Do little things that make you smile, and don't feel guilty for having a nice time or smiling or creating new experiences, because for a long time I felt a sense of survivor's guilt, or sometimes I feel guilty that I'm having a good time and I know there's people within my family and within my community and the world suffering. Like, how can I possibly be dancing when I know someone's just passed away? And that was when I got married. My grandmother was on her deathbed. And I'm yet to still do an episode on my grandmother, because I just know I'm going to absolutely lose it. But without divulging or diving too much into that, my sretan, which is my great aunt, the one who I want to have on the podcast, her sister had died. And you know how people wear black for the whole year in our culture. They wear black for the whole year for the mourning of this person. And they generally don't dance. If someone's just passed away, you're not going to just 3 days later get up and dance. That's just inconsiderate and disrespectful in our culture. And I remember I'm on the dance floor and I'm just moving my body, but my heart's not there, but I'm just moving my body and I'm devastated. And there was a lot of bad things happening around the time that we got married. There was a lot of deaths. There was a lot of cancer. There was a lot of bad diagnoses. There was so much happening around the time we got married. It was quite literally felt like a end of the world apocalypse. Oh, anyway, my sretan, she got up and she looked at me. We locked eyes, and she got up and she just threw her hands up and she just started dancing and she hugged me, and I lost it. I was crying. So I thought to myself, if she can get up when her sisters just died, you know, when she's had so much tragedy in her own life and so many things she's been through at her age, then I can do anything. I can be anyone. I can get up and I can smile and I can throw my hands up and celebrate, and I can still be hurting inside. And I think when you learn to carry those two dualities inside and outside, you learn how to just be a carrier of pain and love. And that those two things can exclusively live within your heart for a long time, because essentially that's life. It's never just going to be good or never just going to be bad. It's always going to be both. So yeah, that moment really truly defined who I am and who I was, and that was 10 or 11 years ago. So yeah, I hope that I can continue to live in that manner, continue to live in that way. And our elders have a really great way of showing us how to carry love and how to carry pain. So yeah, grateful to my sretan, and very sad about all the losses that have just occurred that I know about and that have occurred outside of my community as well. Now, without harping on too much, I'm just grateful that you guys are here. I'm glad that you're tuning in, that you're listening. Some good stuff, some bad stuff, but I hope that you can continue celebrating. I hope that you can continue looking for the glimmer and the sparkle and everything, even when things are really tricky, even when things are really complicated and are very heavy. So next week I'm excited because I get to continue on the party of festivities. We've got Lepa and Baba from Burek on Wheels and Baba's Milk. They're coming next week and hosting a pita workshop on the Gold Coast. I shared it to my page as well. I'm really excited to see them. It's been a while since I saw them. I think I saw them last year, when they did their pop-up. I can't wait to meet Lepa's team, her entourage. I'm going to be shooting all the content for that. So I'm really excited about that. And there's going to be music, there's going to be good food. And I can't wait to do the Kolo under the night sky. So it's going to be in Surfers Paradise at Enzo's Cucina. Beautiful restaurant there in Surfers Paradise, very close to the water on the Esplanade. So I'm really excited to meet some new people. I'm sure I'll see some familiar faces as well. If you're Brisbane-based, Gold Coast-based, or anywhere nearby, I encourage that you can make it to that. You definitely won't regret it. I'm pretty sure she sold out tickets, but I'm not sure she was going to open up a night slot. So yeah, definitely come to that. So if you want to meet me and reach out and say hello, come to that. She's going to have goodie bags as well and things like that. I'll try and throw some little things in there, little presents. And I'm super, super excited to see them and to be with them. It's always just such beautiful energy and positive vibes. And I'm just a huge advocate for people who bring all sorts of people together. So if you haven't noticed, I'm all about togetherness. I'm all about just bringing good people together in the same space. That's why I created this podcast, and that's why this space exists. And yeah, Bubba's Milk and Burek on Wheels is just an extension of that. And many other projects I've shared and mentioned. On the same night or on the same afternoon, unfortunately, there's going to be I can't make the Seljačka Večer, which is going to be at the Croatian Club in Rockley. I think it starts at 3 p.m. And they're going to have Stona Sat. They're going to have a wonderful band. And then I'm not sure if there's going to be another band coming. But it's a huge shout out to as well Prva Liga, who were playing at my cousin's wedding. They were playing on the Saturday and the Sunday. Really wonderful bunch of guys, the main singer and the harmonica guy, so Stephen, and then Marco, and then obviously the other two band members who were there on Saturday. Really just a huge shout out to those guys. They are so wonderful and such good-hearted men. You can really sense they're good-hearted and they're so talented. So huge shout out to them. If you do have your next event coming up or anything like that, make sure you reach out to them. Like I said, we've got to hang on to the culture and the tradition in some sort of way. And I really endorse people who are doing that in such a wonderful and positive and beautiful way. So yeah, go to that Zabava next week at the Croatian Club. Yeah, I think it falls on 13th of June. I think there's going to be a bus going from the Croatian Club to Brisbane. So if you do want to get your injection and dose of good music and a couple of drinks and really lovely food, I encourage you to go. And yeah, I just encourage you to support your local clubs if you can, whichever local club you're part of, or whatever initiative you're part of. It doesn't even have to be culture orientated. It can just be your local soccer club that your child plays at or anything like that. I just encourage you to get involved and to get in there and be a community person and find ways to give back. So yeah, unfortunately can't attend that one. Hopefully the next one. But I'll be sharing more on all the events coming up and that are happening in the next few months. My book is still underway. It's still under wraps. It's still coming together. Just waiting on the artist to put a bunch of things together, and then I'll be sharing more on a release date. And then once there's a release date and I self-publish, then I'm going to have to run an event and make sure I do a massive party for that. So I'm really looking forward to that. So stay tuned for that. Estimated time of arrival is anywhere before Christmas. So or November. I would love it to be ready before November. So yeah, thank you for hanging in there with me for the last year and a bit in bringing this project to life. It's been really a huge labor of love. So yeah, I'll definitely be sharing more on that as time goes on. So the book is called At Baba and Dido's House. It means at Grandma and Grandpa's house. And it's so much more than just being at Grandma and Grandpa's house. It's essentially creating your own house. What is your own house of belonging, of identity, of culture, of where you're from, where you've been, where you're going. It's really a jam-packed book of so many golden nuggets and so much wisdom and so many things in there. And the illustrations really highlight that. So I'll definitely do a separate episode on the book project so that you guys can understand a little bit more behind it. And I can also share as well because, yeah, last year I had started it, but essentially it's been a project 7 years in the making because ever since my son was born, I always wanted to write a children's book. And it's a lovely introduction to me creating my own big book about my life story and my journey, being a refugee, being an immigrant, being an outsider, being a foreigner, and how it is trying to fit in. And then it's get in where you fit in, but essentially if you don't fit in, where do you go from there? So yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll try and play a song at the end for my mum. Maybe I'll chuck in a song, I'm not sure. But there's just so much that I could touch on, so much more that I can talk about, but I'll be here for hours. It's already 12:20, so I've got to run. I've got to do my mum duties. I've got washing, cooking, cleaning. You know the drill. We can do everything, just not everything at all at once. So I do want to leave you with this reading that the bride's cousin read out. He had a beautiful voice, and later on I actually asked him if he was a singer, and he said yes. His voice was stunning. But it is a reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. So I want to leave you with this. Be ambitious for the higher gifts, and I'm going to show you a way that is better than any of them. If I have all the eloquence of men or angels, but speak without love, I am simply a gong booming of a cymbal clashing. If I have the gift of prophecy, understanding all the mysteries there are and knowing everything, and if I have faith in all its fullness to move mountains, but without love, then I am nothing at all. If I give away all that I possess, piece by piece, and even if I let them take my body to burn it, but I am without love, it will do me no good whatever. Love is always patient and kind. It is not rude or selfish. It does not take offense, and it is not resentful. Love takes no pleasure in other people's sins, but delights in the truth. It is always ready to excuse, to trust, to hope, and to endure whatever comes. Love does not come to an end. So with that, my beautiful brothers and sisters, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode. Mwah!
Bože dragi, što je lijepo kad se zaljubiš, iznenada kad za nekim pamet izgubiš. Zrelo grožđe brzo prođe, ali je najslađe. Lijepo li je, slatko li je, pa me zavede. Hej, svima divna, meni predivna, na verandi u lavandi suzu pustila. Hej, svima divna, meni predivna, na verandi u lavandi suzu pustila. Bože dragi, što je lijepo kad se zaljubiš, i ovako i onako pamet izgubiš. Zrelo grožđe brzo prođe, ali je najslađe. Lijepo li je, slatko li je, pa me zavede.